Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight TV edition. I am Peter, that is Tim. We are working our way through Tales from the Crypt, the original HBO anthology series, and this is going to be Season 4, Episode 13. It is called Werewolf Concerto, which is a hell of a title. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. So what is Werewolf Concerto? Werewolf Concerto is an episode set in a sort of remote hotel that's out in the wilderness, and you've got a werewolf on the loose. All the guests know there's a werewolf on the loose. Well, they know there's a killer on the loose. They're not necessarily all convinced it's a werewolf, but they know there's people dying. Someone's dying, and they're worried. They want it caught, and we know there's a werewolf hunter. We don't know who it is. We know there's a werewolf. We don't know who that is, and it's kind of about the hunt for the werewolf. And Timothy Dalton is kind of the lead character.
He's a slasher.
As a Hot Fuzz reference there. And he seems to be the one hunting the werewolf, and that is the general gist of the episode. So I guess I'll ask the question. Tim, did you enjoy Werewolf Concerto?
I did. It's a pretty simple episode. I like werewolves, and it was kind of funny. Had like a lot of noticeable guest stars, and I guess there's kind of like two twists in this episode. This was another one that I remember seeing as a kid, so I already knew what the ending was going to be. But let's say like the first twist or surprise that you see, I was watching this with Melissa at the time, who I think this is actually like the first episode that she's seen, and it was kind of funny, not even knowing like the beats or the formula that the show usually goes through. Halfway through, she was like, "Oh, I think I know what happens," and I was like, "Well, you're right."
The relationship's getting serious when she's now involved in the Tales from the Crypt watching on the weekly basis. I mean, sure, the proposing was one thing. Yeah, sure, everyone does that, but
you got to introduce her to the Crypt Keeper next.
I thought I was going to really like this episode at the start. I like the setup. I like the hotel with everyone sort of there and asking questions. You've got the cop from Die Hard as one of the characters. You've got Dennis Farina, who's
also from Family Matters.
I've never seen that in my life, but yep, I'll take him off.
We gotta at least watch the Halloween episodes, which has evil puppets that come to life and terrorize the family.
I mean, I know you like puppets because you like that last episode of Tales from the Crypt so much.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, actually, I was getting praise on Patreon actually because I cracked a joke about you liking the boys, so you must love this episode when I introduced it on Patreon. Because I knew it'd upset you when you found that. So no, you got some good guest stars, you got all these things going on, and I like the setting, I like the idea of the hunt for the werewolf. Honestly though, I feel like the rest of the episode kind of whiffs on the potential. Like, I was thinking it was going to be like, Agatha Christie murder mystery, who's the werewolf, and obviously the werewolf's more like a wolf man, because I guess it was just easier to do the effects for that rather than do like a proper wolf, but I mean, that's fine, that's whatever. But honestly, I feel like as it went along, it felt like it felt like they didn't know what they wanted to do with it, and I like the final twist. I think it's a really interesting idea because the final thing is he's like hunting for the werewolf. The main person he thinks it is this German guy, who he actually kills because it seems like he's admitting to being a werewolf. Turns out he was just admitting to being a Nazi, and he's like, oh, he was a Nazi criminal, and he's like, oh damn it, I thought it was him. And then he goes off and he thinks it's this sexy lady he was flirting with before. There's some really kind of cheesy stuff with them sort of having back and forth, and he goes up to her room and he's like, oh, I knew it was you. You thought you could get away with me. So twist number one. Well, arguably twist number one is that the guy was just a Nazi, but twist number two is, oh no, it's actually him that's the werewolf. We thought he was a hunter of the werewolf. He's actually the werewolf. He was looking for the person hunting him. And then the second twist, it turns out, is the sexy lady is actually a vampire. And she feeds on him at the end. She actually kills him with a silver candlestick holder, and then bites him. And it's like, okay. Now, I actually like the idea that we think it's just a werewolf story, and then a vampire shows up. I love that idea for an episode. I love the idea of a murder mystery at a hotel, and it's just a werewolf that's going around, but they're trying to figure out who it is. It's almost like a more classic gentleman's version of like The Thing, where you don't know who it is. Everyone's kind of paranoid, kind of thing. Like I can see it working like that. I don't think the episode actually lived up to any of my hopes and dreams. When it started and I
No.
was getting all these things, I was like, yeah, Timothy Dalton, I love Timothy Dalton.
Mhm.
And he's doing his thing, he's talking to people, and he's like, he's being really kind of friendly and charming the way he is, but he's asking questions like, but yes, very revealing, and could he be a werewolf or her? And he's like, he jokes that Die Hard Cop, his wife or girlfriend, that she might be the werewolf, and he's been very smooth, but I think it's telling that this episode is like 22 minutes. It's one of the shortest episodes I think we've watched, and I feel like it was gutted and like they weren't really sure what to do with it. I don't know. I feel like
That could make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it does seem like a lot of wasted potential because it's a fairly big cast. There's a lot of people, and you really don't get to know much of anyone. Like yeah, sure, you have Timothy Dalton's character obviously because he's kind of like our focal point. But like yeah, the Reginald Vel Johnson's Die Hard Cop, his character, like you have that little breakfast table scene or whatever, but other than that they really don't do much with him or other people at the hotel. And it would have been nice to have it be a bigger mystery and maybe have some more misdirects or whatnot.
yeah, the vampire. By the way, I knew her face from somewhere. She's the mum from National Lampoon's
It's
Vacation.
Beverly D'Angelo, I believe.
That's her name. I knew her from something. A lot of recognizable faces in this one. Not a lot of names I recognise, but a lot of faces that I recognised.
Mm-hmm. And now, have we done the werewolf vampire thing before? Wasn't that at least one other episode that we watched? I think, was it like the one where like the kid was in the orphanage and then he got adopted by the parents and then
Yeah, you're right. And the parents
the parents were vampires,
and then the kid turned out to be a werewolf.
yeah. So I feel like I mean maybe I'm misremembering like more episodes doing this, but I feel like this is like a pretty big Tales from the Crypt trope where it's just like out of nowhere, oh yeah, by the way, this person is also a monster.
I think I like the idea of this episode more than that episode, but it unfortunately doesn't actually
that's fair.
pull it off very well. And I think because like you say, you got all these interesting characters. You've got the hotel owner, Dennis Farina, who I like when he pops up in things. He's interesting. You got Die Hard Cop. You got all these different characters, and at the start of the episode, I'm thinking, oh man, I can't wait till the big last chunk of this episode where they're all in the main room and they're trying to figure out who it is, and he's like explaining who the werewolf has to be. Like I was expecting like crime solving, and instead I got, oh, it must be this guy. Oh no, he's just a Nazi. Let me barge into a room, wielding my gun around, yelling, "Oh, you thought you could get away from me?" And then that's just the end of the episode, and it's done.
Yeah.
It's just a missed opportunity. I feel like there was a lot here we could have done with this. We could have had, like, because even the twist that he's the werewolf, I thought was like, it was almost like the most obvious Tales from the Crypt twist they could do. Is like, oh, the guy who thinks the hunter is actually the werewolf.
Without a doubt.
I wasn't excited when he started transforming. I just sort of rolled my eyes and went, of course.
Yeah. And I mean,
Makes sense.
I feel like they didn't have like a huge budget, but I thought like, all right, the effects are not bad for Tales from the Crypt level. I thought
I like the opening kill when it's the werewolf POV and he rips the guy's throat out. Like I thought that was okay.
Yeah. And then like the stuff with the vampire lady, I almost feel like I kind of wanted to know more about her. Like she has what was like her piano is kind of like her coffin, I guess.
Yeah, that was
like
that was the first big hint. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of cool. Like that's something I would like to explore a little bit more. But yeah, it's I think it's still an enjoyable episode, but it definitely could have been better.
I feel like all the ideas I'm thinking about actually like would be too much for even like a regular sized episode. I feel like this is a movie waiting to happening where you actually explore all these different characters. And what if by the end you actually found out, okay, she's a vampire, but one of the other guests is like a mummy, and then another guest is like the Invisible Man or something. I don't know. Like they all turn out to be a mythical creature or something.
You know what it kind of sounds almost like you're suggesting is like almost like a Watchmen version of like Universal Monsters.
Yeah, you kinda, yeah.
Actually, trademark it. No one else do that.
What would we call it? Who scares the scary man?
All right, we'll work on that. I like the who scares part. I don't know about the scary man part, but
Who 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 fears? No, who? I'm trying to
who
think.
fears isn't bad.
Who fears the fearful? No, who fears the fearless? No, that doesn't work because you have to ask the question about the other way around, so that doesn't work. But
Yeah,
regardless,
we'll figure it out.
there's a lot of ideas here that I think are
Yeah,
good, but ultimately, I think the episode just kind of whiffs on them,
yeah,
which is a shame because I get to the end and I'm like, oh, it's over. Okay, sure.
yeah.
I guess we're done. That's
Yeah. Still, it's yeah. I don't know. I still liked it. Maybe kind of on the strength of some of the performers and stuff. But yeah, definitely does feel like there could have been more that they went into and stuff.
I was expecting more group scenes because at the start, after the murder, we see like the hotel manager like explaining to everyone that the police can't get here. There's been a mudslide, the roads cordoned off. Like I was like, oh, I'm looking forward to more of these group scenes where they're all there and they're all kind of debating and like questioning things. And he's like, oh, I can assure you, someone in the hotel is a werewolf hunter, but I'm not allowed to tell you who it is. And it felt weird that they weren't trying to guess. Like it's like,
Yeah.
especially the way Timothy Dalton kept kind of like not being in the group and kept off and doing his own things. It's like, is no one going to even suggest that maybe he's either the werewolf himself or the one hunting the werewolf? So
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's very strange that everyone kind of seemed to take it pretty willingly. Like, I don't know, like no one was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Or like, "All right, let's all." I feel like usually in this murder mystery kind of setup, you would have everyone kind of staying in a room and talking about their alibis and whatnot and their motives. And yeah, there really wasn't any of that.
Oh yeah, not a single person even feels the need to give an alibi to anything.
Yeah.
No one even accuses anyone of anything.
It's like you just found out that there's been a murder and that werewolves exist. All right, let's go about our vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. No one actually. That's a good point. No one even accuses anyone of anything. It's weird. Like the only thing that's accused is that he's lying about there being a werewolf hunter because the Nazis like, hey, this is crazy. I wipe my hands of it. I hate all you people. Yeah, and even that was like a weird like thing. It's like, oh, he's actually a Nazi war criminal, and he's hiding, and that's why he's killed like one of the guests to like keep his secret hidden because he had a photo of him or something like that. And I'm like, okay, sure. Which again, if you had time to flesh out all the guests and they all had their own thing, that'd be interesting. That'd actually be. Do you know what, see if we did that movie idea where they all turn out to be, one's a vampire, one's a werewolf, one's a mummy, one's whatever, right? And they're all different mythical creatures and horror figures. It would actually be a really kind of commentary to have one of them be just a Nazi. Like they're
Yeah.
vampire, werewolf, ghost, whatever, and then Nazi. It's like, oh, like they've joined the ranks of these things
Yeah.
almost. You can almost play with that in just sort of talking about society and talking about how
Yeah.
things are treated. You could do some interesting writing with that, I think.
Yeah.
This episode doesn't do that. This episode is just a red herring. It's like, oh no, he was just a Nazi. Oh right, okay. Someone else must be the werewolf.
Well, I mean, this was like back in the innocent time of the 1990s when we kind of thought we were done with those people. But yeah.
Making me nostalgic for my childhood here, Tim. I miss those days. I miss those days when the phrase neo-Nazi was just like, oh yeah, there's some weird group somewhere like that, but it's not like a big thing, and now it's like, oh god. And
Those are just like background characters for the Punisher to fight or something
I mean, maybe that was just I was a kid at the time and I wasn't paying as much attention, but like, god damn it, let's not go down this path. I just go down a weird political path that I don't know what to go down. So, but yeah,
I will say, just like I mentioned earlier, though, if anything, just seeing Timothy Dalton, like, man, his role in Hot Fuzz is so good.
I'm a slasher of prices.
It was like everything he says just being like a double entendre, and it's so good.
Oh yeah, but they're specifically double entendres with killing. They're not sexy double entendres. They're everything's like it could be interpreted as he's the murderer of the town. What's going on?
just like the glee he takes in it, like not even like like you're talking to a cop like a crazy person, but
Dalton's the best.
oh yeah,
Dalton's
I'd
the
like to
best.
see him in more stuff. I think he'd be really good in a horror movie. I don't know if he's done that many, but
He was in Chuck for a bit. I don't know if you
oh,
watched
okay.
much Chuck. I like Chuck a lot.
I've heard good things, but I never actually watched it. I kind of missed the boat on it.
Chuck is good fun. If it's ever like on your Netflix or whatever, you give it a whirl.
Yeah.
Once it gets going, it's really good, and there's a lot of like actors who pop up from older things. Like Linda Hamilton's in like a season, and like
Oh,
there's
cool.
Terminator references and stuff. There's lot of nice touches in that show to various things. It's a good light-hearted time.
Nice.
But yeah, I guess we're done talking about this Tales from the Crypt. So yeah, it's a okay episode that feels they kind of whiffed on the potential, but the ideas
Yeah.
are at least fun, so I can't fault that at least. But
Fair.
this is somewhat disappointing. But there you go. So that has been episode 13 of season 4, Tales from the Crypt. We have one left, and then we're done with season 4. We're really getting up there in the numbers. So let us know what you think of this episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mild_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel and support this show, head over to patreon.com/milefuzztv. You can do that over there. You get these early, in fact, if you do that. You get these Tales from the Crypt reviews, so as an incentive. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching Scary TV, guys. We'll see you next time.